Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Coffee Run live episode 504. Can you believe it? It's ridiculous. What I thought I would share with you on this fine Thursday afternoon is how I have done not so much the technical stuff, but the 500 episodes of the Coffee Run and how I was able to do that pretty much without a plan. It's kind of curious because all the time, give me 1 second. Hi, Sharon. I'm just wanting to share this live out into oh my God, look at my hair. You guys, I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. I'm getting it bleached. So let's hope tomorrow afternoon when I come to you, I don't look like Eminem. It's a very big risk. I know I could end up looking like Eminem, which would be wildly hilarious. I am just going to see if I can get this over on my profile. I don't know if it's not going to let me do that. All right, that's annoying. Okay, well, let's not do that because I can't do that. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is my content plan. It wasn't really my plan for the Coffee Run Live. Now, the reason why I did this, going back all that time ago, no worries at all that time way back when, 504 episodes ago actually, where I decided to do it every single day. I'd already been doing live streams, right? I'd already been doing live streams. I tested out doing a day in the life of and doing that at 4:00 in the afternoon because the questions that were coming up a lot of the time from clients of mine were around my mindset, around what I was doing, how I became inspired. Oh my gosh, this picture not being straight behind me is a bit annoying. The picture's straight, just the angle of my camera. That's the OCD kicking in. All right, so you can get me on a lean so long as the bottom of that picture is in line, I think we're going to be okay. And that's going to make me feel less distracted. So going back, I was originally doing a day in the life of, and you'll see them in the archive in here if you go back and have a look at some of the old playlists. Hi, Sandy. Some of the old playlists that are in here are day in the life of. We've done 500 of the Coffee Run episodes, but I also used to do, and I only used to do them 4 days a week. And on the 5th day, so actually on a Tuesday, I would do Unstoppable Entrepreneur Live. I was doing the Visible Live series. What I was thinking about was, all right, my Coffee Run is a little bit more like free flow, right? And I'll explain how I decide what I'm going to talk about in a minute. Just trying to get that picture straight again. And what I was doing, my intention was to have the Coffee Run being kind of like a bit more jamming, like what we do with this. So I would maybe come up with this idea, I would run with it, and I would just start talking about it, and all of the ideas would come in, and I'll explain the actual process of how I do that. I'll go through that process for you today because I think that might be helpful for you. But then also I was doing once a week. It was very structured. You'll see the playlists in the videos if you want to go and have a look in here. And I guess I've got 2 different strategies for live streams or 2 different ways of getting the ideas. So the first thing that I did was I sat down and I was like, okay, if this is my own TV station, right? So the way that I treat this profile is like I'm your Netflix, right? And if I'm your Netflix, I can put up anything on here that I completely want. You can tune into it, you can listen to it, you can turn it off, you can do whatever the hell it is that you like. And that really gave me permission to just go, well, you know what? I can talk about whatever the heck I like. I can be rated R, I can be rated G, I can be rated PG, I can be rated MA 15 plus. I can do whatever I want because it's my channel. This angle is really driving me crazy. It's my thing. It's whatever the heck I really want to do. And therefore, what that did is it got me out of thinking about, worrying about, second guessing myself around whether I should whether I swore, whether I didn't swear, whether I was a bit more rambly, whether I was a bit more direct, and things like that. So it gave me permission, hey Beck, it gave me permission to really kind of just go with this change in mindset. It's like, this is my channel, I can do whatever the fuck I like. It gave me permission to just kind of completely wholeheartedly be me. And I love that. It also meant that I can talk about whatever the heck I like, and you guys can tune in or not, or do whatever it is that you want to do as well. So that's a mindset shift that I made going back however many years ago, that when Facebook Live started. So I think it was around 2016, because it was when I was traveling to Vegas a lot. And there was a platform that we used to have to use, hey Marie, a platform that we used to have to use that we don't need to now, called OBS Studio, which is the plugin enabling us to go live on our computers and stuff like that. So that was like, I've been doing this for a really long time, doing live streams and video and things like that. So the first way that I did it, and I'll explain the content strategy first of all, because I very much, when I first started, I very much gave a fuck about the viewers, my fans, my followers, the content. I wanted to make sure that it was really content rich. So most days I would come on and I would deliver like a 3-step process or a 4-step thing or a 5-step thing. And I would pre-plan a lot of stuff before I would go live, because I'm like, right, I need to know what I'm saying. I need to know like who I'm delivering it to. I would imagine that there were people behind my camera that I would talk to, you guys, and I would just kind of go, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So if you're starting out with your videos and your live streams, whether they're pre-recorded or whether you're doing them live, this is a really helpful strategy, because it gives you a sense of certainty around you knowing what you're going to talk about and what the outcomes are going to be for your audience that you want to deliver upon, right? So that's the first thing. So the first thing that you've got to get clear on, if you want to go down that track, is decide on what your topic is, work out what story you're going to tell, work out what steps you're going to work your people through. So if it's journaling, for instance, you might say, so the topic of your live might be like, journaling sucks, right? Let's say that journaling sucks. And that's the topic of your live stream. And you want to tell a bit of a story. So you've got to explain, well, why does journaling suck? Your people don't understand why. So you need to explain to them why it sucks. And then what you would do is you would go through maybe 1 or 2 or 3 suggestions for your audience that they can go ahead and use, right? Don't hold back with this, you guys. It might be, the first thing that you can do is make sure that you've got a journal, a notebook that is purely for journaling. And you can use, there is something that happens between picking up your pen or your pencil and starting to write in your journal. There's something magical happens, but you've got to give it time and space. The second step that you might say is that you can just identify any blocks that you have and make sure that you clear them out while you're doing your journaling. And that might be your 3-step process. And then give them a call to action. So make sure that you go do this. If you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, you're amazing and I'll see you tomorrow. Off you go. They get a heap of value. You've delivered something really powerful and you know your process. You know the stuff that works, right? So that's that. That's a very structured way. This is the way that I used to do my video blogs. It's the way, actually, if I was to do a video blog now, I would still follow pretty much that same process and that kind of thing. But what I found I still did that actually for the episoded content. So for like the Unstoppable Entrepreneur, I treated that like a TV series. So it's like, right, well, a season rather. So, if you go to Netflix and you look at a TV show on Netflix, you will find that they've got like a 10 episode list and like S1, E1, S1, so season 1, episode 1, season 1, episode 2, so S1, E2. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder if I get my head into that it's a bit of a series type thing versus anything else. Let's go do that. So I actually mapped out all of the episodes of what I was going to talk about throughout that 10 episodes, and I treated it like a season of content. So to me, that was just like, it really helped me. It made me feel very confident in what it was that I was delivering, because I knew my stuff, and I knew that I wasn't going to get lost with a whole range of different stories, or, go off on tangents or whatever. So it just gave me a lot of bang, this is what you're talking about, Nicola. Off you go, do that now. So I was doing that once a week, and that was really great. And I was really looking for ways, I guess, to even be, no worries, Sharon, have a great day. Like, looking for ways to be even more in the moment, right? So something that you'll know about me from either watching these, or if you've been in a room at an event or something like that with me, it's like I tap in to my higher self, for want of a better word or way of doing it. So often what will happen is, like, I'm tapping into my higher self, and I'll start talking, and while I'm speaking, it's like the flip top lid of inspiration opens up, and then like the stuff starts flowing through me. I remember in 2014 actually, I was working with an amazing lady called Ursula. She was my soul coach, and we were great friends as well. And I remember saying to her, trying to describe to her a bit about what my process is like. So the example that I gave her at the time is like, when I'm on stage, so this particular time where I was on stage in 2014 for Sales and Marketing Spy School. And it was the best, most fun 4-day event that you could possibly get your ass into. It was so good. So many huge breakthroughs, so many huge outcomes, and people learned everything about marketing and sales and themselves and messaging. And it was just, they were completely unleashed and set free out into the world, and they made huge changes. It was the best. It was so good. And this is at this particular event. And I remember, while I'd get asked a question, and I did this all unconsciously, right? I didn't realize I was doing this. But what I would do is, like, they'd ask a question, and I'd kind of let it get in my head, and I'd rub my hands together. And this is just so that you can see. Good. You can't see my eyeballs. Let's come back here. So what I would do is I'd kind of rub my hands together like this, right? So it felt like there was this ball of energy in my hands, like if you've ever sat with and played with blue tack, or not even a stress ball, because a stress ball is too big, but kind of like, it was like this energetic ball. I used to call it the golden ball, and it's like Play-Doh, right? So with Play-Doh, when you go like this, it just goes into that really beautiful smooth ball. So do this with me now, right? If you're watching live, let me know that you're doing this, and let me know what happens. So just press, and I did all of this without being trained, right? This is just something that I did completely intuitively. So just press on the middle of your palms, so like you're turning your hands on like paddles, and then just rub them together. And you'll feel it, because you will feel it. There's like an energy that's coming through the palms of your hands. And for me, what I was doing while I was on stage is, like, I would get the question would come through, and I'd close my eyes. Like, this is literally what I would do. I'd like close my eyes, and I'd pace a little bit, and then I'd start speaking, and the answers would come through. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is what you need to do. If it wasn't right at the front of my head consciously, it always came through. The other thing that I might do is, like, I'd put my hands like behind my back, and I'd kind of get that energy ball in between my hands, and it would just kind of like come. So I loved that. And I was explaining to her this process, and she said, oh, that's really, really cool. She said, what color is it? I said, oh, it's golden. It's this golden ball. And what I've learned since is that that's part of the way that you can tap into your energy and inspiration and source and universe and whatever else. So I knew that if I'm speaking, and how this relates to live streams, when I'm talking, this same thing happens, right? The things that need to be said will come through, and I kind of get in that zone of being in flow. I think that's the best way that I can explain it. But sometimes it can be hard for me to get to that place. So what I thought I would share with you today are a couple of things to help what I use to get into that zone. And this is definitely one of them, right? So turning on your hands, it might look like you're rubbing your hands because they're cold, but you just turn your hands on, get that energy flowing, and it's really, really cool. So what I want to do, like my outcome with the lives is the intention is to deliver something that's helpful, that's meaningful, that's transformational, that's adding great value, that helps you get out of your own way. That is always the intention for every single live that I do. Every single one, whether I'm talking about being vegan, whether I'm talking about water, whether I'm talking about building muscle, whether I'm talking about manifesting, whether I'm talking about content creation, whether I'm talking to you about my latest program, whatever it is, everything is always about getting you up and out of where you're at right now and getting a step up, right? Or taking a step forward every time. That's my sole intention. So it's like, all right, if I'm going to do that, then I've got to open up the doorway. So how can I best open up the doorway? Because sometimes turning my hands on doesn't always work. So the work that I do before getting on here is really important. So we've got that structured way of doing it, which is great. But then there's also this kind of bit more free balling way. So the thing that I will do is I will journal. I'll journal until I kind of get the ideas that will come through. And the way that I'll do that is Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks talk about getting into the vortex, right? So really getting into the vortex and really, oh, your feet as well, Sandy. That's really cool. Well, you've got energy that flows right through you, right? So energy in and out of your hands, you've got it flowing through and out the bottom of your feet. So into the ground, like that's how energy flows down through your central vertical channel. So if you talk about getting into the vortex, right, and that's to me all about getting in flow, getting into state, getting into peak state, getting into a higher state, getting into a beautiful state, whatever your language is, to me it's like, all right, well, I'm going to use journaling to be able to get into that state. And then I will ask in my journaling, I'm like, all right, so what do the people want to know? What do the people need to hear today? What's the best, most awesomest thing that I could share with them? How are they feeling? And that's literally what I'm asking in my journal every single day. What needs to be said? How can I serve? What needs to happen? So I really try and get my conscious brain out of the way and let the flow. So sometimes though, my conscious brain will not get out of the way, and that's usually where I'll go into, all right, so this is the strategy for blah, 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 blah. Like whatever it happens to be, a lot more educational not lecturing, I don't lecture, but you know what I mean, a bit more like that. Whereas the flow stuff is a different sort of feeling to me. So journaling is a way of opening up the doorway. The other thing that I will use, and I think this is really like it's going to be like, what, of course, Nicola, is I will use the conversations that I have had with clients to inspire the live streams and things like that. So if we're talking about how did I get to 500, right? How did I get to 500 or more? How do I always find more things to talk about? How do I always find more things to say? I'm really lazy. I will use the conversations that I've had with you guys as inspiration for it, right? So that way it's less about me going, all right, Nicola, you've got this big responsibility. What are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? It's like, well, hang on a second. What have I been talking about with clients? Not in a breach of confidentiality, because that's not okay. But if I've had a conversation with someone today, already this morning, about a sales strategy around, cold prospecting versus lead generation, then I would probably talk to you guys about that. I can talk about boundaries. I can talk about how to deal with your mindset. I can talk about shifting from scarcity to abundance. Like these are the conversations I have every day with clients to keep them on that straight and narrow in the flow of being able to get what they want, create what they want, have what they want. So clients are a great source of inspiration to me for what to talk about with you guys, because if they're experiencing it, guess what? You probably are as well. If you're feeling creatively challenged, then if they're feeling creatively challenged, there's probably people out there watching right now who are also feeling creatively challenged. So then we can talk about it. We make this mistake sometimes of feeling like it's only us. And I remember I had this really pointed out to me going back about in April this year, maybe, so what's that, 4 or 5 months ago. Feels like 4 or 5 years ago in the year that is, or the 25 years that is 2020. And this experience that I had, I was reading an ad on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is me. I thought, like, the copy that I was reading, the words that I was reading, I'm like, how does this person know that this is how I'm feeling? And what this is showing me, because I was reading the comments, I was like, holy shit, it's not just me. I thought it was only me. I thought it was the only 40-year-old on the planet experiencing these feelings, having this problem that I was having. It was like, oh my God, shut up and take my money. Like, to know that I'm not alone is huge. So she would have gotten a lot of that from her own experiences, but also from the experiences of her clients. And so you can do the same thing. Like, we just be lazy. Like, this is like the laziest content inspiration strategy on the planet. Just talk about some of the things, like being very ethical and, discreet and smart about it. But talk about some of the stuff that you've been talking about with your clients. So that's that. And then the other thing the other really just, I guess, important point that I wanted to make is coming back into, so what is it that they really need to hear today? What do the people really need to hear today? And in order for you to know that answer, you've got to get your conscious mind out of the way. And the best way that I can find to do that is through journaling and through asking. So I didn't know before, like 3 minutes before I was about to go live, I just got off a call with a woman in the States, and I was like, okay, I've got to do my live stream. What am I going to talk about? I'm like, shit, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's like, wow. All right, so what episode are we up to? Shit, 504. That's really freaking awesome. And I was like, have I ever talked to people about how that happened? Thought, no. So there you go. That was what I felt like I needed to talk about, because I know, because you guys have told me and you've celebrated with me and cheered me on to say that 500 episodes is like freaking awesome. It's amazing. Congratulations. And you've shared with me your excitement and your gratitude for doing this and being persistent and being consistent with the creation of them. And so I was like, well, I think other people might want to do 500 episodes of their live streams. And maybe they felt like they don't know what to say every day. And maybe you don't have a content strategy. And maybe getting in flow is a better way of you doing it. And that was really why today's episode exists, because I was straight back in that mode going, all right, well, what do the people need to hear? And what is it that you want? Most of us want to know that we've got the ability to turn the camera on and feel confident about what we're sharing, right? We want to feel good about what we're sharing. We want to be able to get into the flow. We don't want it to feel forced. We don't want it to feel like we're shouting into the black void of absolute nothingness or contributing to the noise and the bullshit that goes on and out there in the world of the internet. We want to be contributing creatively, smartly, in a way that's helpful, in a way that makes you feel good, and in a way that makes your audience feel good, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing. So the best way to me to do that is to have those two things there. The next piece of the puzzle, of course, is you need to fucking do it, right? Sorry, if that's a surprise to you, but you need to do it. You need to commit. I literally committed to you guys on here in a post. I've gone, okay, I'm going live every single day at 11 a.m., except back then it was at 9 a.m. So it was 9 a.m. every morning, and then except on a Tuesday, which was 11 a.m. because that was the TV show day, right? So that was more like that's my seasonal content, like the 10 episodes of the Visible Live or Unstoppable Entrepreneur or whatever, I becoming professionally famous, or whichever season, whatever I named the season of the content. So I publicly committed that this is what I was going to do, because I will show up for you guys. If I'm left to my own devices and just going to show up because, I really feel like it, if I'm only ever driven by my feeling like it, there would be days where I don't show up. I've got to tell you, you guys are a really great, for me, you're a really great accountability partner. So thank you so much for being there and being my accountability buddies, because without that public commitment, I wouldn't be at 500 episodes. I wouldn't be prolifically creating content all over the place. I do it because I do not want to let you down. I want to do it because I enjoy it while I'm doing it, but I don't always feel like going to the gym. Oh, not that I can go to the gym. Going to my workout, my own home gym. I don't always feel like going and doing that. This morning, actually, I'm like, no one would know if I didn't work out today. I'm like, your ass would know if you didn't work out today. I'm like, okay, yes, my ass would know. I better go do it. And, by the time after I start, it's fine. And then at the end, I feel amazing. But sometimes just that first putting on the music, or I listen to audiobooks at the moment while I'm working out, pressing play on the audiobook, getting my weights sorted, getting the bands ready, getting my mat ready, getting the elevated thing so I can do handstand push-ups and other weird shit that I do. To be able to get that down, I get my stuff ready, and then as soon as I start, it's awesome and it's amazing. But sometimes that just getting started can be really hard. And it's the same with live streams. But if you've got that public accountability, you are much more likely to show up and do the things that you're supposed to do. It is not always easy, okay? It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. 100% always worth it. And this is one of the big things that I learned from interviewing a bunch of musicians when I wrote Into the Spotlight. When you show up, and there are days where you don't want to do it, and there's days where you're completely bored with your own content, you're completely bored with your own voice, you're probably completely bored with your own existence, and you're like, ugh, in your very dramatic fashion, ugh, this isn't worth it. Oh my God, I should just, blur, whatever. No one's even going to notice. No one's even going to know. There will be one person out there that needs to hear what you have to say. I can guarantee it. And you might not ever know who that person is. You might never ever know the impact that you're having on that person. They may never tell you. I would hope that they do. And, if this is helpful for you, my hope is always that you guys will let me know that this is helpful for you, because it's for you that I'm showing up, not only for me. But if you think about it, and this is what all of these musicians said, when they're up there on stage, and this is like your Facebook live streams are like your virtual stage, right? What they will do is they will, particularly if they're up in their heads, which is where we tend to go if we're a bit nervous, or if we're really hung up on the outcome, or we really do give a fuck, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this to be good. I want this to be helpful. I want this to be fun. I want this to be engaging. I want this to be educational. I want this to be motivating. I want this to be inspiring. We've got all of this pressure going on up in here, and we get out of our heart space and we end up straight up in our head space. Instead of just going, hang on a second, just stop for a moment. If I think about one person, just one person out there on the internet who's maybe feeling a bit stuck, who's feeling a little bit less than stellar, who's feeling uninspired, who's feeling unmotivated, who's feeling very apologetic for their mere existence, who's, maybe having a shitty day or having an amazing day, or just needs that final kick up the ass, you can do this, then would I show up for that one person if I knew that they were sitting there waiting on the other end, really, really needing to hear what I was saying? Would I show up? The answer is fuck yeah. And I think chances are it's the same thing for you. So we don't need to know or have you know, at any point in time, you don't know the number, you just don't know the number of people, the sheer volume of people that you are helping, that you are inspiring, that you are motivating by just showing up. So it doesn't have to be that your live streams or your content goes on for, 100,000 words like mine does, or 100,000 hours like mine does. I just happened to be self-declared 3 days ago because I had this like lightning bolt to the brain that I'm the queen of all of the words as well as all of the things. You don't have to do it in my way. You can do it in your way, and in fact, that's what I encourage you to do. So you don't have to be live on a live stream for half an hour, 3 hours, 25 hours, however long you want to go for. You can be on here for 5 minutes. And if you think about it, that one person that's out there, they're the people that you do it for. Because if you can change one life, if you can motivate one person, if you can have a positive impact on one person, then think about the ripple that then has in their life, in their world, and things like that. So get out of your own head and make it happen. To summarize, the way that I have done this, the way that I did this, the way that I've gotten here, the way that we're apparently losing our words today is, number one, I created a structure, right? For me, the way that I work best, I really love certainty. I really want to feel like I'm giving you guys value. So the things that I will always do, particularly in these live streams, I'll have a topic and I'll have an idea about what I'm going to talk about. And I usually know, I generally these days, I give you a couple of tips or a couple of steps in order to move forward. So the first thing that you need to do is have a topic, have your story ready, and have a couple of steps ready to help people take a step forward. So that's your very structured way. And then the other way is doing what you can to open up the doorway for that flow and that inspiration to come in. For me, it's that golden ball in my hands. Also, movement really helps me. So if I'm running an event or if I'm creating pre-work or things like that, I'll often be pacing around the room, pacing around the house. On a stage, I'm obviously pacing up and down a stage, not like power walking, but just like really kind of like getting into that zone, getting into that rhythm, activating the golden ball, which then allows the energy to flow. So that's what I do. I trust that that's helpful. Oh, and journaling, of course. The journaling piece is really important. It's so important for me because there'll be stuff that comes out of there that I'm like, well, I never would have consciously thought about that. And that's another way of opening up the doorway of helping the people to do what you need to do. So there you go. That is the process. Now, one of the things that is a big part about what we'll be talking about next week in Unapologetic, we start on Monday. I am so excited. Sunday if you're in the States or in the UK, but Monday we kick off. Now, it is being delivered live. There'll be mostly live videos. There might be some pre-recorded stuff that gets loaded up in there as well. There's a bunch of bonuses I've got ready. The pre-work I recorded a couple of days ago and it's ready to be unleashed tomorrow. So if you are jumping into Unapologetic, now is the time to do that. We will be doing some energy work. We'll be doing some work on your content. We'll be doing work on alignment. It's going to rock your world. I can't wait. I'm so excited to do this work. It's going to be one of my best, most awesomest courses I have ever done because that is what happens. All right. Sandy, that's what would happen every time I went busking. Someone special always needed it. Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%. You just don't know who you're going to touch, not in an inappropriate way. You just don't know who you're going to reach. You just don't know who's going to hear, who needs to hear what it is that you have to say. We can't control that. All you can do is control how you show up and showing up to serve. And it's the best way to do lives, in my very humble and very experienced opinion. All right, my friends, the link for Unapologetic, I think, is up in the description of this. If you are listening on audio, you will see it in the show notes. I am going to love you and leave you. You know what it is that you need to do. If you have any questions about Unapologetic as fuck or anything else, make sure you let me know. But otherwise, get out there, go help some people, have a whole ton of fun doing it. And for the love of all things holy, please remember that the world is ready for your brand of awesomeness. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow, if not before. Bye.